Hey, it's the Monkeys. No, it's AllThatPat and Lord Cash on Slam Nation show on New York Nerd Show for today, April 27th, 2021. Lord Cash, how's it going over in your neck of the woods?
I've been doing pretty good. I actually thought you were going to bust out into the Miz and Morrison song. Hey, ho, ho, hop, hop.
Well, there's so many versions of it, and since Raw is on kind of a repeat pattern right now, we got to get a new song from them. So then I'll be able to add it to our repertoire.
Well, maybe add that to like one of our little theme songs or something. We'll see.
Could be. We'll have to get bunny suits as well, apparently.
Oh, I can work on that.
Really?
Well, okay. So it's maybe just a cardboard mask that I got. I literally could have it in like 30 seconds.
So anyway, moving on. No. So this past week, we're going to be covering basically Smackdown from last Friday, Monday Night Raw from last night, and in a special the way I see it segment, I'm going to actually do some comparisons between Bray Wyatt, Undertaker, and Kane in order to kind of get some feel as to like what might be next for the former Fiend. So all that and more tonight on Slam Nation Wrestling.
Woo!
Woo! So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with SmackDown. It started up today on Friday, I should say. Right up the bat, you hit us up with Tamina, nobody Mina, going against her cousin Nia Jax, that slippery devil. I just don't get it. Like, first of all, why are Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler like being featured so much? I get it, they're the tag team champions for women's wrestling, but come on. Do they really need to be on every single show?
No.
Yes, even Bitter Rich just did a little run in the background. They're too cool for school, apparently. Yes, and Lord Cash very bluntly, no, they're just not. If they were having like really strong matches, I'd say sure, but I swear, every match they have, it's like, it's not interesting at all. And I think it's kind of amusing, actually, in some weird way that we always say, we're not wrestlers, and we get that. But Nia Jax, who I feel is one of the sloppiest wrestlers, in the company, very uneventful, very uninteresting. Her side gimmick is that she slips all the time.
At least now it is.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a little bit of a odd parallel to that, and we wonder why she's even on TV as much. And Bitter Ritz again doing her little run in it's kind of has something to do with who her cousin is, perhaps.
Maybe. But even then, it's like, okay, you just said that Tamina is cousins with Nia Jax, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then why isn't Tamina being featured?
She is now, though.
Barely.
Like, Tamina's on every SmackDown. She's been on every SmackDown since before Elimination Chamber. Yeah. Natty. The tag team with Natty, once that started, they've been on every week. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like looking at the research to tell if I'm right or wrong. But I feel like considering Tamina has been part of the company for the better part of a decade, and in the 8 years of that decade, she probably had less than 12 matches. I guess now the fact that she might have 6 in the span of 2 months, it's just like it's Tamina overload. I think Lord Cash is a little overloaded just by mentioning Tamina.
I don't understand what they're doing, where they're going. I don't get it. Like they keep toying with the fact that like Shayna and Nia are not on the same page, that they're they've been doing this for like 4 or 5 months now, that they aren't getting along, but yet they're still together as the tag team champs. I don't understand what the logistics there and the reasoning behind it.
You're right, and they're in their second.
I don't know if it's just because they work well. Yeah,
They don't. But and you know what's funny? So I don't know if we'll see it on the clips, but on Raw, I caught something that really tells me that they're really digging in deep on this tag team. Reginald was there in the back in a segment on Raw, and underneath his suit blazer coat, he was wearing a Shayna Baszler Nia Jax co-op T-shirt. So if you go on WWE Shop Zone right now,
I saw that.
Buy that. Yeah. So, Lord Cash, your birthday's coming up sooner than mine. So play your cards right. You might be wearing a Nia Jax Shayna Baszler T-shirt.
Let's see what else is out there. Let's see if maybe another tag team that I might be more interested in. Hashtag wait for Raw.
Maybe at anything, really. It's like I wish we had more to say on this, but yeah, there was nothing to this match. I believe Tamina picked up the win. And yeah. The second match, there's the thing too. There wasn't a lot of matches this weekend on SmackDown or even on Raw. Because our next match was basically a random Intercontinental Championship match with Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. I don't know why Kevin Owens even got the title shot. I mean, granted, he beat Sami Zayn, and I don't know anybody else that's really had a run as an Intercontinental or as a singles champion or singles competitor. Decent match, but also a nothing match. Like Sami Zayn comes out, gets himself involved again. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Kevin Owens needs to go away for a while. I like him, but there's just, I don't know. It's a whole lot of just, I don't know what they could do with him other than moving him to Raw, because I feel like he's just been overexposed. I don't know. He looks so ridiculous, but it's just weird. Like this week in wrestling was so uninspiring, and we're so thankful you're joining us tonight for sure. But it's like normally I have so much else to say. Lord Cash, what were your thoughts on this match, on the Apollo Crews defense against Kevin Owens?
I feel that the writers for WWE have put so much effort and time into preparing for WrestleMania, that month or two afterwards, everyone is on vacation, and like the E Squad is out there writing right now. Like the B, the C, the D, they're all on vacation. They're, in the Bahamas, doing the, snorkeling or whatever. And they're like, yeah, we'll let these guys, I got a Hornswoggle in the back going, let's do this match. Let's do this match.
He was general manager.
So it's just, I don't know, like,
this is the time of year where it's normally the most exciting, though. That post,
no, it's not. Typically, this is the point where it for me, I feel like this is the point that always sucks, because they are always doing these WrestleMania rematches, which is just a copy and paste from what they just set up. Again, we're doing the exact same thing. We're having WrestleMania rematches. Because again, who did Apollo fight at WrestleMania?
He fought Big E. So he beat him for the belt.
Yeah. Guess who's going to be fighting him at WrestleMania Backlash?
Jake the Snake Roberts. No, right.
Or at least, I'm sorry. He has a match next week. My apologies. He's next week on SmackDown. He's got a match against Apollo Crews. So again, it's a rinse repeat of everything that they've been doing leading up to WrestleMania. There's no creativity going on right now. Certain storylines are getting retired, i.e. The Fiend and Randy Orton, at least for right now. But come on, like everything else is just, it's ridiculous. That's just my personal opinion. The writing now is always the sloppiest after WrestleMania.
I 100% agree with you, because Backlash typically is rematches from WrestleMania. I'm just like, I guess where my thought was, like, I'm so used to after WrestleMania, you at least have some very exciting returns or debuts that are peppered into this. And
true.
Viking Raiders.
which again, to my understanding, like unless you actually watched the live broadcast of Raw, you didn't even know that.
Exactly. They've yet to be on TV. And like it's crazy. Like, okay, WrestleMania just happened, as we know. It's still happening apparently. But okay. Who won the tag team titles at WrestleMania?
For Raw?
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't even on Raw this week.
They haven't been on at all since WrestleMania.
Again, I think they are hanging out with the writers in Bermuda.
They're chasing R-Truth for the 24/7 belt somewhere in Bermuda because he hasn't been around either.
I don't. That's my complaint right now. Like you said, just the matches, the storyline is just no bueno.
No bueno at all.
No bueno.
Yeah. So as SmackDown did continue, though, we did have, again, this okay. Cesaro right now is definitely having quite the, the run, but again, why Seth Rollins again? I did like the fact that Seth Rollins is at least having a creative excuse as to why he lost to Cesaro at WrestleMania that actually makes sense. How the rain threw him off his game. I think that at least works. It gives him an actually excuse for it. But I don't know. I mean, these guys, I think any other time I'd be excited to see these guys, compete in a tag match. But I don't know. I think it's just because it combines with all the other kind of this isn't even a rematch. Let's put it like that. It's not a rematch, actually. It's just the side matches within this are rematches. Jay Uso, love the guy. I think he's doing really well, but he needs to go away. Having him involved with the main event situation. I just wanted to do something more than just being the henchman, even go for a secondary title.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the big thing came out of this match ultimately is at the end was, Dan O'Brien wanted to get a title match against Roman Reigns, even though I was clamoring for more because they went from Cesaro. Daniel Bryan does get quite a response from Roman Reigns in order to get that title shot against him. Basically ends up happening, we'll talk about is that he has to put his career on the line in order to get a shot against Roman Reigns. But here's my question, though, Lord Cash. Is this going to be a situation where it's going to be an actual, career, or is it going to be oh, you can only be on main event now, or you can only be on Raw now? What are your thoughts on that?
It's all about the wording. All about the wording. Roman Reigns says you have to leave SmackDown. It did not say you leave WWE. You say you can't wrestle anymore. He said you leave SmackDown, which means if Daniel Bryan loses, then he's going to end up on Raw. Straight up, point blank. That's what's going to happen. And I think it might benefit him to go to Raw just to shake up who he's wrestling. And, maybe if it's one of those, okay, well, we'll pick him up, but we'll give you someone from Raw that needs a fresh, exposure. We've been saying that there's people on Raw that should go to SmackDown. There are people that are on SmackDown that should be going to Raw. Take care of some of these people first before we actually go to, the draft that, sends everybody all over the place. And so next week, as the little slide said, Daniel Bryan and now goes one-on-one with Roman Reigns for the title. And if he loses, he's off SmackDown. So.
No, you're right. And kind of alluding to, though, I could see Daniel Bryan fighting Drew McIntyre. That'd be a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Going up against Lashley, I think it would actually be a really good match.
Yeah.
Strowman. Strowman's not bad. I'm not super engaged in that. But yeah, because so here's the reality, right? Is he going to beat Roman Reigns? Is it even a title match on Friday? Did they even say? I thought it was a title match, but what would they?
I am 99% certain that it is a title shot for this Friday. As I'm talking through this, I am doing my homework and researching to see if it truly is set for a high stakes universal title clash. So I do believe is supposed to be. Yeah, it is in a Universal Championship match.
I mean, so that's gonna, I imagine bring really good ratings to SmackDown for sure. Because I mean, they haven't had that big of a match in a while. So you got the main title on the line. Roman Reigns has not worked SmackDowns all that much to begin with. Actually fighting, and you have a big stipulation. I'm gonna go. I don't think I'm making a big gamble here. I don't think Daniel Bryan's winning the belt.
That I feel is a safe bet. There's a part of me that wants to say yes, Daniel Bryan is going to win, only because, and I kind of may tie into your WrestleMania prediction to have Daniel Bryan give Cesaro a title shot, because that's one of the things that he's been pushing for, is for Cesaro to get that actual title shot. And who better to actually give him the title shot than Daniel Bryan with the belt?
That's actually very true. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't know why I didn't think about that, because you basically lose a major connection for Cesaro in that case. So Daniel Bryan might actually pull it off, because my thought was just in the back of my mind was like, who I wanted Cesaro to get that match, and I'm like thinking at this point, you're running with a what, August, September, October, November, December. You're basically working on like a 9-month reign from Roman Reigns, and so like it's got to be handed off in a way that's going to be impactful. And I think if they do a big flip like that, I think that would work pretty well.
Yeah. So I guess the kind of the question is, for our audience, who do you think is going to win? Will it be Roman or will it be Daniel? So is Roman Reigns going to keep the Universal belt, or is Daniel Bryan actually going to end that title reign of Roman Reigns? So I would say go and leave that message down in the comment, and we'll have to see come Friday.
Yeah. And one other match that did happen during the show on SmackDown, just like a little other one. Talk about Rerun City. Once again, hey.
Ho, ho.
Aren't there any other tag teams? Like, I at least enjoy these matches. I don't know what it is. These four guys have a nice chemistry that seems it's enjoyable. However, I'm pretty confident that they've been fighting each other in some fashion, probably dating back to beginning of February.
Yeah, well, and they've at least, it hasn't been tag match. There's been at least, okay, well, it's going to be a 6-man tag. It's going to be an 8-man tag. All right, it'll be Chad Gables versus, Rey Mysterio. It'll be Dominic versus Otis. It'll be Otis versus Rey Mysterio. There's at least, having the dynamics of a tag match, you're able to, switch the competitors out of some level, and again, adding a third competitor, making it a 6-man tag, it gives it that little bit of a variety. Now, I don't know if there is, so when I'm going to go back to a Stone Cold session with when it was with Bayley, that Stone Cold said, "I wish I understood the reasoning and the logic behind tag matches. When you're on the road, you're doing those house shows, it's not live broadcast. Why would you stick me with someone else? I don't want to be working with someone else. I want to make my own run."
Yeah.
The logic behind a tag match is so your body doesn't get burnt out. You've got that secondary person to absorb your half of the hits out of a match.
Right.
You're able to tag in and out. And so that way you're not having to kill yourself by burning through all your cardio, because you have a tag person. And so I don't know if they're trying to build up, Dominic's cardio, and he can have those longer matches by giving him these tag matches. The same thing with maybe, Otis. That's why he's a tag kind of guy, because he's kind of a bigger guy. If I were to get in that ring after about 5 minutes, I'm going to be huffing and puffing a lot, because, I'm a little on the rotund side.
And you learn from each other too. When you have the bottom line is Dominic's just straight up learning. So he can take a breather and just have that front row seat and actually watch what happens, and then come back in and get that little bit of a the break, in and out.
Yeah.
And Otis is still learning as well. I don't know why, but I just had an epiphany.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know if this is the reason. So we're talking about how both Raw and SmackDown are all about rematches.
Yep.
Now, more than likely, it's just the writers and Vince or whatever. But in other sports, they actually had to do things like have you ever heard the phrase bubbling?
Yes.
Do you think it's feasible because of Florida, where they do most of their shows, and there's consistent outbreaks? Do you think that it's possible that they are actually booking by bubbling?
Absolutely. That way, if, and I'll just say it just because, they happen to, if Charlotte comes down with COVID, then they know that this pocket of people that she's been encountering, these people we need to test.
Right.
Who gets COVID? We need to test these guys because there's the one that he's been, around.
Right.
So that way, it's very similar, like, school systems where, okay, this classroom is all contained. So these 24, 30 students or whatever is in that class. If one gets it, or one has contact, then we'll, quarantine that one classroom and not the school. So there is a straight up possibility that the reason why for the past, 4, 5, 6 months that they have been, scheduling them on, okay, you 6 guys, you're a bubble. You 8 guys, you're a bubble. And we'll just kind of rotate, within that structure to try to make the best out of everything.
Yeah, I don't know why I just thought of that. And yeah, that would make total sense. I mean, because that's why you don't have just like random matches here and there anymore. Because I don't think there's been too many that are just kind of an unknown person getting jumped into these matches.
Right.
So yeah, I wonder if that's what it is.
It's definitely a possibility.
That could have been a bonus the way I see it.
Well, we just had it right now.
Yes, exactly.
Just go visual aids.
Now, if you are watching us right now, whether it be on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, obviously we do say thank you. You can watch any of our previous episodes of any of our shows. They're always on YouTube. We have over 100 videos at this point, and as a current broadcast, depending on when you're watching this. But if you ever want to get updates as far as like when we're doing new shows, you can also take part in contests that we do for like new subscribers and even existing subscribers. Basically, just do the normal, right? You want to like us, you want to share, ring the bell, and all those things depending on where you're watching it. Again, we do really appreciate that. Just again, it's a mid-show, just a little bit of a break. We do want to let you know some of the things that we do have, different shows that are available on our New York Nerd Show network. Again, you are watching, obviously, Slam Nation Wrestling. We do this show every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Most of our shows are at 8 p.m. right now, Eastern Standard Time, of course, but you can watch any of them on repeat. Tomorrow night, we do that. Well, Wednesday nights, we do the Game Room, where we basically take a look at some kind of a vintage video game or a current video game. Sometimes we just have a discussion about a video game. Thursdays, we do I Stream, You Stream. Those are when we take a look at a series or a movie from one of the various streaming sources, whether it be Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, any of those. We've done a lot of the superhero ones like Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've done WandaVision. We've also looked at some movies like Tom and Jerry. A lot of different things on there. Fridays, we do Funko Royalty, where Lord Cash shows off his Funko collection and takes a look at some of the current exclusives and more rarities as well. Mail Call Mail Times, and we take a look at some of the things you've gotten in the mail. It's not just bills. We do a lot of cool stuff, a lot of orders and specialty subscription packages. Sundays is Call the Wild. We share and show off some of the things we found out in the wild, whether it be garage sale finds, store finds, whatever it might be. And then we actually start our weekday with Crazy Card Collecting, where we take a look at different trading card sets, whether it be from current series like Garbage Pail Kids or some of our older series, whether it be 1980s Pac-Man cards or 1995's Hunchback of Notre Dame cards.
Some good stuff there.
It certainly is. So at this point, we kind of do a little of an interlude segment called The Way I See It. And basically, we're currently without Bray Wyatt now for the better part of 3 weeks after his loss to Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which no one expected, to be honest with you. At least I didn't expect it. I think everybody expected he was going to pull off the victory against Orton, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we predicted.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of surprise that basically the Fiend character seems to have been killed off at the moment. So want to take a look at like what might be next for Bray Wyatt. Because believe it or not, Lord Cash, he has been in the WWE for 10 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, a decade of I won't say decade of dominance, because that's what they did for destruction. I don't know. Decade of ridiculousness.
That'll work.
I want to compare him to some of the other wrestlers that he's always had a comparison to, which would be the Undertaker and Kane as a supernatural character. Now, he did start in the company under a different gimmick, different name as Husky Harris. He was actually a part of the Nexus stable, which had quite the big push until they kind of all fell apart when they hit the man called John Cena.
Well, I think didn't he hurt his knee or his ankle, didn't he? And that's what kind of put him out of business for a little bit. And then that's when he came back as the Bray Wyatt character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he had an injury that took him out of like the big run. Exactly. But yeah, he came back as a Bray Wyatt character in like around 2011. And that's where he had the Hawaiian shirt, spoken riddles, had those like really like chill conversations with the camera. He brought in the Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family, Luke Harper and Rowan. He ran with them for a little while, and they actually had some early success, taking a look at like different feuds, and some of them were with like Kane. That was his pay-per-view debut. Then he split apart from the Wyatt family for a little bit, had a little bit of a run, fought the Undertaker at WrestleMania, lost. Again, he was kind of going back and forth. Then he had a tag team with, Matt Hardy, and they're part of the Deleters of Worlds. Then he reunited the Wyatt family a little bit later in that, and that's where Braun Strowman came into the mix. Do you remember that, Lord Cash? When you had like that, they had the black sheep mask and everything. Yep. So it took some time to really get some traction. Really, he did have a title run in between there, but he always just kind of booked as kind of the ultimate loser of feuds. Then he came back in like late 2019 as the Fiend character, went on a crazy tear. Almost undefeated until he got beat by Goldberg and Randy Orton. Those are the two that were not expected. But he basically got burnt to a crisp, came out at WrestleMania, and now he's disappeared. So similarly, if you look at the Undertaker and Kane, like their first 10 years in the business, in the WWE anyway, Taker came out as one character. He evolved over time a little bit subtly, but it was at that 10-year mark, much like Bray Wyatt, around that 10-year mark, he had that major transformation. Whereas Wyatt went and turned into the Fiend, Undertaker decided to lose a gimmick and become a biker. Now, Kane, again, similarly, his first 10 years in general of his career, he went with the whole idea. He was Isaac Yankem, I don't count that. But, he started with the mask. Oh, hold on, that went too fast. Come on, I don't want to spoil this. Okay, so he went through the whole thing. He had the mask, the whole 9 yards. I personally, Lord Cash, you and I were watching this at the time. My personal favorite era of Kane was very short-lived, which when he first took off the mask and had to have the cops bring him down.
Yeah.
He was destroying everybody. It didn't even matter. He tombstone Linda McMahon, for crying out loud. But all three of these guys had supernatural, qualities. They evolved their gimmick over the time. So again, what's Bray Wyatt going to do next? Because when you compare these three guys, do they all have masks at one point or another? Check. Were they all champions? Check. Were they all set on fire? Check. Did they all tear up through the ring? Check. And most importantly, did they all defeat Matt Hardy? Yes, they did. That's the most important thing. Exactly. Wait, Kane, Taker, Bray. Oh, yeah. So when you look at that, they've all had a lot of different title successes as well. Kane having like the most ridiculous amount of tag team title runs. Now, again, these were only during the first 10 years. So what is Bray Wyatt going to do next? Is he going to be the new member of the New Day? Is he going to take what some people thought was, is he going to be Brother Ray, like a takeoff on, Brother Love? Because he did have a little bit of like a a nostalgic preacher vibe on his very last thing. Is he going to go back to his original character of Husky Harris? And I put that as a joke. Return to the Floral as well. We know that's not going to happen. Return to the Floral might be possible because if you think about it, after a little bit over 10 years, Kane went back to the mask.
Yeah.
After about 10 years, Undertaker went back to the dead man. Do you have any thoughts on what could be possibly next for Bray Wyatt? Because believe it or not, I think he's going back to the floral shirt.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. The least with his current persona, the Fiend at least is an alternate personality,
right?
Which I don't believe Kane or Undertaker had anything like that. So while there is a lot of similarities, that's definitely something new in his wheelhouse. So whether or not Bray Wyatt goes completely away and we only have the Fiend, I see that as a possibility, just because he may see Bray Wyatt as the weakling, and in order to be dominant in the ring as a competitor, he has to get rid of his Bruce Banner persona so that way the Fiend can, be that dominant force within the squared circle.
So with that in mind, it was the Fiend that straight up lost at WrestleMania, though. Like, how would they like portray that like full separation of the two?
What do you mean?
Well, like, would they, like, for example, if they went down that route, would they have somebody basically be in like a Fiend costume just for like the segment and like kill Bray Wyatt, who's wearing his, you know what I mean? Like, how would they establish the fact that like it's a true separation of character?
You actually have the Fiend come out and cut a promo.
Okay.
You haven't had that, like, that's never really happened. The Fiend has not really spoken except for to say, "Let me in."
No, you're right. You're right.
So if you actually give it's very similar to how long did Kane not really talk on the mic? Because it was always Paul Bearer. It was someone else. But then once he actually took the mic, he became that character. Like that character evolved. So by giving the Fiend mic, because again, Bray Wyatt is a master on the mic. So to take that and have the Fiend take the skills that Bray Wyatt has on the mic and bring those to the rings, cut those promos, go after, Braun Strowman, Randy Orton, whomever that he needs to, but it's the Fiend. I have forsaken my human persona. And it's no different than if like Finn Balor, the Demon King, would only come out as the Demon King. Finn Balor is gone. I have banished him within myself, so the transformation no longer happens. Same thing, I'm drawing the comparisons to like Bruce Banner and the Hulk.
Right.
The Hulk always considers Bruce Banner to be weak. And so, therefore, the Fiend I would imagine he would consider that Bray Wyatt is just the same.
Right.
So that's, if I'm, making some bold predictions, that's the road I would go down. Because again, it's something new, it's something different, and I think it would further evolve Bray Wyatt's character as the Fiend.
Okay.
Versus just going back to the floral with, the Wyatt family, that persona, that's at your 20-year mark. You know, because that way that he can actually have his rocking chair when he's, you know, that much older. He'll actually enjoy it that much better.
I mean, you might be right. I'm just thinking, like, again, like, you know, with the other two, they didn't wait that long. You know what I mean? Like, because like nostalgia, like I think nostalgia hits within the first 10 years. Because you know, like when we were 10, like right, like say if we were 10 years old, and then we got to that like college age of like 19, 20, that's when nostalgia really hit. I can remember like that's when I'm like I got to get a Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll be curious to see. You know, I'm hoping the WWE does something interesting because they're giving him a lot of. Here's the reality: a lot of people say they can keep burying him. I agree from the outside looking in, but you can't say they bury somebody if they're making that much money off them. You know, and they're giving him huge pushes. It's just they end oddly. Some of his matches end like very uninspiringly.
True,
but that's the way I see it.
Okay.
All right, so now, okay. We recorded last week's Raw.
Yes.
Thoughts on just like playing that right now, except for like maybe the Randy Orton thing?
We probably could.
There's
this ever so slightly modified. For example, there's only 2 matches this week versus the 4 from last week that ended up on. I clicked the button. The cutting room floor. Gotta love technology.
I gotta tell you, as we're gonna share these, one of these segments was one of the 2 highlights of the show. I'm shocked that they put this on the cutting room floor. Well, I'm not shocked because Hulu doesn't really know what they're doing with WWE. But
like, I'm almost wondering, like, does WWE send over the Hulu cut? Because I would imagine they have to. The way it's spliced together, things that they cut out, they have to, for storyline wise, they have to approve what gets shown on Hulu.
Oh, absolutely. Because so storyline wise, exactly that. Because otherwise you would have like a match in the middle of the show that you didn't see what built up to it.
Yeah. So, I guess we can go ahead and jump into the first one that ended up on the cutting room. So these matches are in no particular order, except for these are the ones that you did not see if you watched Hulu. So, and that is Sheamus doing his United States Open Challenge. He came out very similar to kind of how he did last week. And Humberto came out again. And pretty much the exact same thing happened. He got distracted and Sheamus just beat up on him and there wasn't a match.
Right, but like whereas last week he got turned into a total joke, Humberto had some fire. That if you could find a clip of it, just that suicide dive over the top rope, Sheamus sold the heck out of it, and he nailed him like a bullet. I don't know, like just seeing Sheamus go flying over the desk. The whole thing, it made me all of a sudden say, you know what? I want to see that match. I have never cared about Humberto Carrillo in the year and a half he's been around in the company, but I actually want to see that match.
Yeah, a fair, let's ring the bell. I'm not going to jump you before the match to get the advantage, which is exactly what he's done. You know, as Humberto turned his back, Sheamus got him last week. Today he threw his hat in his face and started attacking him, and so it's never been a fair, much less a fight. Right. I would love to see, and I have a feeling that's what they're going to build up to, have Humberto as, versus Sheamus at the WrestleMania Backlash.
I agree. And I don't know if he's going to win the belt. I don't think he will. But it's refreshing when they at least give a moment of clarity where they don't make the wrestlers look like idiots.
Right.
Like that is how I think it would happen in real life. Sure, you get your butt kicked one week. The next week it tries to happen again. You're like, no. And you come back with more fire. I think that worked out nicely because we see too many examples of people getting booked like idiots. We'll see the women's tag match next.
So I just realized I'm wearing an Incredible Hulk shirt.
Yeah, for the Fiend. See,
I didn't realize it until just now. What I also didn't realize is how much I did not need to see this match.
Well, again, it speaks about the women's division. It's booked like so terribly. Like you've got, so first of all, I don't understand why Rhea Ripley is teaming up with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Like, is she supposed to be a bad guy now? I don't know. But Lana and Lana and Naomi just look like idiots. They look like they're like 12-year-old girls in a middle school, and that's not a knock, but they're like in their 30s. Like they're giggling and clapping, you know. It's like come on, just show some fire, you know. It doesn't make any sense. And you got this Doink the Clown baloney where the women, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, come waddling down to the ring, and I say that only because that's how they're making them look. They come down with a big bucket of water, they throw it at, on the floor, and it's like, and of course Nia Jax has to come on over, and she does the most terrible pratfall I've ever seen, because I don't know about you, Lord Cash, and anybody watching, I've slipped on water before. You don't face plant. You fall on your butt.
Whoop.
Yeah. So it's like she had to go for her inner child and say, "Oh, there's water. I'm hitting that slip and slide or that crocodile mile as fast as I can," because, oh my Lord. And we don't complain here. We generally do. We like to enjoy this, but it was so bad. It's like, and
well, what's odd is I'm gonna jump ahead for just a moment, just so I can full out complain about this. But there's a match between Charlotte and Mandy Rose.
Yep.
Spoiler, she's back. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover that real quick, and then we'll talk about that. So essentially, what's next for Charlotte Flair? She comes back. Sonya Deville reinstates her. She apologized to the ref. And even then, it's like Charlotte gets a little high and mighty. It's like, okay, you said it was your fault, so now I want the ref to apologize to me. But then you have this match. Charlotte Flair goes up against Mandy Rose. Where did this evolve from?
I know. What was Mandy scheduled to do this night if this didn't happen?
Nothing. Literally, she actually had nothing. What she was scheduled to do was to throw water onto, Shayna Baszler. That was all she was scheduled for. But again, because this was cut, you didn't see that Sonya Deville, who has a now, mucky history with Mandy Rose, that they're like, oh, you want to have fun and have games and whatever. We're gonna go ahead and Charlotte needs a competitor for tonight, so you get to be her opponent tonight. So Sonya is punishing, quote unquote, Mandy Rose by having her go up against Charlotte Flair, and it's like, because that was on the cutting room floor, you had no idea that this was the logic and the reasoning why. Because, and again, they didn't show it beforehand as to. There was again, if they did, that was cut as well, because I don't remember seeing it.
No, I didn't either. And I got two thoughts. First of all, I didn't even notice this originally, but thank God that Mandy Rose had a separate set of gear. Like, apparently her bikini outfit that she wears with Dana Brooke is her ring entrance gear. I didn't even realize she's wearing this outfit when she was wearing the other one earlier. But
no, she's wearing this one when she threw the water.
Are you sure? I think it was the neon pink.
Nope.
So while we look that up, I also want to point out that this was the first time. Oh, you're right. I'm so used to seeing their little twin magic, matching gear.
They wore that last week.
Yeah. So this was the first real interaction that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville have really had since that blood feud last year that ended in the retirement match. And this is her first time seeing her. I was like, oh, I'm going to make you fight Charlotte Flair because of the Doink the Clown water bucket.
Yeah.
Like, you would think they'd be like, oh, I hate you. It's just like, I was like, no.
You kind of again, I would say for the regular watchers, the people that have been around for a while, they know why they watch, that's why they put them together in this. But other than that, I just don't think they really cared. to actually give us that background.
I don't approve of this message, by the way. There's a request from Bitter Rich that I slip on some water.
So I read that as Bido Fritz. I'm like, who's Bido Fritz?
It's Bitter Rich's cousin.
There you go.
Fritz.
Yeah, I just bananas are a possibility as well. I'm sure that'll be next time.
So yes, yeah, I gotta say that we've also had a conversation recently. You and I have, and so has Bitter Rich. I've been talking to her. It's like we want to kind of do a before and after of Charlotte Flair because I really think that she looks quite a bit different since she's come back in a lot of ways. So, but we'll do, maybe we'll do a little side by side officially of an angle or something. See, this is what happens, everybody, as you're watching. When Raw and SmackDown are on repeat, we spend all this time talking about clown pratfalls. We talk about whether or not Bray Wyatt was better as a Nexus member or as a guy with a mask. We talk about all sorts of stuff. That was talked about on the show.
Harris. I actually enjoyed him as Husky. What is it? The body of the tank, the
Ferrari. Yeah, it's the tank with a Ferrari engine.
Yeah, I'm like, what's that?
I'm surprised that you remembered that. I was going to bring it up, but I'm like,
yeah, like I said, he was one of my favorite Nexus characters. So when he came back as Bray Wyatt, I was intrigued to see it, and I kind of liked him a little bit. But yeah, that was I know some stuff.
You do, and
it's random, but I know some stuff.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at all Bitter Rich's comments and
well, let's while you're reading though.
Okay, so Nia Jax fan over here. Anyway,
I'm gonna say, should we move on to some of the other matches for the evening because time is dwindling on the Slam Nation show.
I know we were like ahead, but now we're kind of like slowing up. Miz TV, of course, has to start every Monday Night Raw, or at least within the first 30 minutes. I gotta say, I did enjoy Johnny Drip Drip's little spray paint inside of his head.
And what is he? The moist voice,
something like that. I gotta tell you, I want some tomatoes right now because those look pretty good, even though they're supposedly rotten.
Right.
Apparently Damien Priest has entered the bubble, into the New Day bubble.
He's been there at least with he's been in the Miz bubble, so that's part of that circle of 8 to 10. So
no, right. I gotta say, this is one of the reasons why Raw did not have as many matches. It's because I feel this match went on the better part of 20 minutes.
Right.
Which is odd because you book these matches for so long and then inconsistently the next week they'll lose in 40 seconds to Braun Strowman. It's kind of funny how these guys clearly have a very odd sense of stamina. But that's just because of how the booking goes. I just think it's odd. But ultimately it was a good match. I thought it was actually a very solid match.
Yeah, like again, the people that are inside the match are, they're good workers, they're good performers. When you've got New Day, it's hard to go wrong with them.
Right. And Damian Priest continues to impress me. He's got a lot of moves. He's very over. He hit a really nice spin kick off the top rope. Again, yeah, good time. Shows that everybody had a really good premise, or not premise. They have a lot of capability in the ring. One of these, wait, I just hit that again. Sorry, guys. No more Miz. Sorry about that. Now, I liked how they booked this because, so if you missed last week, Riddle scored easily his biggest win of his career when he clean pinned Randy Orton, 14-time world champion. And so Orton shows up and he's like, he meets up with Riddle. What a great interaction they had in the back. I thought that was hilarious.
Like Randy Orton sold that so beautifully. Just the whole everything that he did with that, and Riddle, just the interaction, like they are like the yin and yang of each other's personalities. And I absolutely you can get me this t-shirt. I want the RK Bros.
You've been talking about Matt Riddle the whole time, and you've been sold on him the whole time. I didn't get sold on him until very recently, and I can watch this all day too. I don't know if I need a t-shirt yet, but I just love the whole thing where he's like, or it's like, I thought about that RK Bro. And it's not a bad idea. But then he said something along the lines of like, what planet are you from? And he's like,
I'm from Earth.
I'm from Earth. It's like,
he's like, we have nothing in common. We're both from Earth.
Yeah. But it was funny, like the whole time I'm sitting there going, as soon as the bell rings, he's gonna RKO him. As soon as he gets tagged in, he's gonna RKO him. Even what's his face? Corey Graves. The whole time he was playing into that. He goes, oh, he's gonna RKO him.
Yep.
He didn't RKO him.
Yeah.
He had a straight up match.
Yeah. I absolutely love this. This is the hell no of 2020.
I would agree. Or the Booker T and Goldust.
Yeah, I'll even want to go that one, just because it's such the dynamics of their personality are just so opposite. It just I love them, and again, it's that whole that mentorship of Randy now kind of mentoring Riddle. If this tag team continues on, I cannot wait for more of these matches. They're just absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I don't know. Riddle, I just get him. Like when he first showed up, I was like, wait, what is this cat doing? But then like the second night, I'm like, I like this cat. I like this guy. So yeah, he earned a little bit of respect, from last week's win. And then so I like the whole, he's like, then we could get, snakeskin Speedos.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, hold up. Let's zip the lips. Let's see how tonight goes. Then we might have a chat. So I'm going to be interested to see what's going to be the backstage segment, and exactly what they're going to do to coordinate their outfits and whatnot. So I'm 100% on board. I'm like seriously all in.
I agree, and I'm be curious what ends up happening with them long term. Yeah, there you go. The snakeskin undies.
That's got to happen.
So basically, a double rematch from last week. Braun Strowman. It was either him or Drew last week. It's the same thing this week. Starts with a handicap match against Retribution members. And I swear, Lord Cash, that last week, one of the matches ended up in a DQ and the other one ended up in a count out. And it's exactly what happened this time.
Yeah.
Just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. All you guys need to know is that Retribution won again.
Former Retribution members.
Aren't they still called Mason T-Bar, though?
That's their names. They're not affiliated with Retribution anymore. Retribution has been disbanded. They have no affiliation.
They call themselves Dominic Dijakovic and whatever the other guy's name is.
But again, that's their name. That's who they are. It's not as if, if Luke Harper or Ronan, they no longer part of the Wyatt family. They're still Luke Harper and Ronan. That's their name.
No, I got you on that. I mean, I just thought it was weird. Like I don't know. I'm glad they're still a tag team. I guess you're right, because Retribution by name was technically Muhammad Ali, Mustafa Ali. But yeah, again, the whole bunch of Retribution versus these guys and baloney. They still don't like each other, and they ended up making a thing where at the end of the show, ultimately it leads to that if Braun Strowman can beat Drew McIntyre, he will get inserted into the World Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash. And I'm going to let that one simmer for a minute. If you haven't watched it yet, I bet you can guess what might happen. Psst. He does.
Yeah, so beforehand, Bobby Lashley comes out after the announcement has kind of been made and basically saying, and it kind of is doing the whole like Roman Reigns of no one talked to me about adding, a third person into this match. I don't want this. This definitely, Braun Strowman can pin Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre can pin Braun Strowman, and I lose the title. This is not fair to me. I don't like this. I don't want this. But the match happens anyways. This was your main event essentially of the night, and as you said, kind of alluded to, Braun Strowman is able to pull out the victory at the end.
I think it's interesting. We're like a triple threat match for the exact reasons that Bobby Lashley said are not fair to the to the champion, and they say that every single time there's a triple threat match, and they always run that as part of the story.
Yeah, because it's a math and logistics, and sure, makes sense.
Right, but then why do it so often? Like, I feel like a triple threat match should be like special and do it almost annually. Like, because it's such an obvious storyline, but save it. Have more singles feuds, and then because again, I don't know for sure. We've been watching wrestling for such a long time, you and I. But it feels like they've done a triple threat championship match. Maybe a couple times already, because WrestleMania's main event was a triple threat match.
Yeah.
For that same exact storyline. So yeah, just have singles matches. You know what I mean? Like with two teams or two opponents, and do that more often. You don't need to get everybody involved.
But here's the thing that has to kind of be alluded to. What is the odds average? Okay, there's been 500, triple threat matches. Of those 500, 400 of them, the champion retains. What are the statistics? Is it 100 retain? Is it 250? Going into it, yes, like mathematically, that single match, you have a 33% chance of walking out, as the champion, versus if it's a one-on-one, you have a 50% chance. So
right.
Mathematically, yes. However, over time, because of, opponents 2 and 3, they're going to go at it, which means your champion essentially kind of has that championship advantage, because let them duke it out, and then I just come in and clean up the scraps.
Well, that's something that could be easily done, and it probably has been done, like with The Miz. He's the type of like competitor that when he's champion of any belt, he's got to be like that like chicken kind of wrestler to just keep avoiding it until it's his time.
But that's something that I would be interested to know what those numbers are. Right. So that way, when these people are saying, well, it's not fair, blah, 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 but record shows that 78% of the time, the champ walks out as the winner. So statistically speaking, he's got a good chance of actually being the winner. Or is it literally, well, there's typically, there's only 23% chance based on the statistics that the champ walks out as the winner. So that 33% chance really is even lower than that. It's actually, 10, 15, 23% or whatever. But yeah. But of course,
I bet we could do something relatively easy with that and just say like the last 5 years on pay-per-view. There's a triple threat match for the world title. I bet we could figure that one out.
Well, just any title for that matter.
Right.
Yeah, because at least there's something to merit who wins who because again, if there's no title involved and it's a triple threat, then that's just a straight up 33% chance you're going to be a winner. But you have that tangible thing that after it's done, I'm champion. So,
I'd be curious about that.
But since Braun Strowman did win, he is now added to the match at WrestleMania Backlash on May 16th. So mark your calendars for that. It's only like 3 weeks or so. Feels like. And then so it'll be Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre, going up against the almighty Bobby Lashley as your WWE champion. So It's going to be interesting to see who's going to actually come out as the winner on that one.
Hopefully it'll be interesting.
And again, you've got 3 really big guys there, so one would hope that it does, but it's ultimately seeing what happens.
Right. It'll be a big beefy affair.
Yep. And then of course there was just a little piece at the end where Almighty is like, "Come get it, sucker."
With his, I would never say it to him, but with his honestly pretty doofy sunglasses.
Yeah. So, but that pretty much concludes Raw and SmackDown for last week. Can't wait for the next ones.
It'll be good. If nothing else, hopefully we make it more enjoyable for you.
They set the bar pretty low.
They did. I might trip over it like Nia Jax.
There you go. So, but definitely check us out. On starting tomorrow, we'll be back with the Game Room. Thursdays, I stream, you stream. Funko Fridays with Funko Royalty. Mail Call, Mail Time on Saturday. And then we start the week over doing Call of the Wild on Sunday, just seeing what we've purchased out there in the wild. And then, of course, our crazy card collecting. We like to open up cards and checking them out. We just did a bunch of, got some ones here from Hunchback of Notre Dame. So definitely check us out.
Pocahontas.
Huh?
And Pocahontas.
Well, I don't have the Pocahontas. You had the Pocahontas, man.
They're around.
No, actually, they're square, rectangle.
So anyway,
I just got booted from the video. Like I say, the coins, they're round.
Okay, we'll give you that. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Make sure, no matter when you're watching this, to share, like, and subscribe on any of our platforms. We do always appreciate your viewership and your support. We'll see you every day. Check out some of our old videos. And with that, Lord Cash, we out.
We out.
Adios.